We'll start recording here. Share screen. I'll see a thumbs up. Cool. I'll share that. Then let's get started.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. It doesn't sound like I'm on. Are we on? Are we on yet? There we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, I'm just going to tell you straight out, because of these bright lights, I can't see anything. Well, that and the 3 Bloody Marys I had at lunch. But so we can't see anything. So please, are there people out there? Good afternoon. See, there's 42 people. We're in good shape. We're in good shape. Well, thank you for joining us, and welcome to our session. My name is John Rainey. I'm the Area Vice President for the RE/MAX Southeast region. And I just want to thank you all for not only coming to our session, but for coming to R4. It's a big deal. It really is a big deal, and we appreciate you coming back. And hopefully next year in Vegas, there'll be 10 times this number of people, and then you can tell them that they missed a big deal. All right? So today this afternoon, we have a fantastic presentation for you. It's basically the perfect listing presentation. And like Adam said today, listings, that's where it is right now, right? Very few listings, so you need to do everything you can to be the listing god. And we have 2 very, very well experienced people in their own right for grabbing listings as they're available, very successful agents. And I'd like to introduce them to you now. Becky Ramey, who is she's a female over here. Becky has been selling real estate in her small hometown for 15 years and has been with RE/MAX since 2009. She's been a top volume producing agent in her multi-county MLS for 5 years straight. She sells residential, commercial, and land, everything, just everything. Okay, good. She's a multi-Titan Club member and has her Lifetime Achievement Award from RE/MAX. Becky has a 30-hour-a-week assistant that just helps with the demands of closing over 100 transactions a year. She also owns her own firm and enjoys helping, encouraging, coaching her agents. Becky is known for hard work, honesty, and ethics in her community, as well as her "if there is a will, there is a way" outlook and determination. She's grown her business with a focus on listings, referrals, and repeat clients. In 2018, Becky married her husband, and they now live in a converted train cars. So she is the realtor that lives in a train. Ladies and gentlemen, Becky Ramey. And this young man on my left is Quintavious. I wasn't going to try, but I did it. Is that right? Quintavious. Quintavious. Q. He goes by Q, which is a lot easier. He's a former Division I athlete for Ole Miss. There it is. Okay. Q has been an agent for 28 months. 28 months. That's less than 3 years, and he has listed and sold over 230 homes. In his first year in the business, he managed to sell over 106 homes. And the second year, he topped that by selling more than he did the first. Q has made Chairman's Club both years. He's been an agent, and both times as a solo agent. Q created the 4-point system that is used by many agents around the country to help manage and guide their success in the business and their workload. Q is an old school agent trapped in a young body. He built his business by cold calling and door knocking. What a concept. Ladies and gentlemen, Q. So here's how we're going to do this. I'm going to throw it back over to Becky, and she's going to speak to you for a few minutes. If you have a question that you'd like to ask, please enter it into the app for this session, because I can't see you, and so I don't know if you have your hand up or not. So enter those in, and I'm going to be checking those frequently, and we'll get to as many questions as we can when they're finished speaking. Ladies and gentlemen, Becky, take it away.
Thank you so much for that, John. Guys, I want to say that I'm from a very small town, like 35,000 population. So last night when I finally found one of these doors cracked open, I peeked in. And then last night when I was going to bed, I thought, like, how long would I need to leave my hair dryer on my forehead so I would fail the temperature test? So like this is out of my comfort zone. But one thing that I do love is the listing appointment. In my career, I've had the opportunity to go on just over 2,000 listing appointments. So I've had a little bit of time to tweak and learn what works to get results for myself and for my customers. So that's what I'm here today to talk about. And for those of you that are curious, I live in a average price point is $220,000. This time last year, it was $180,000. I'm not one of the lucky ones that gets to sell 11 homes a year and make Titan. I'm pretty jealous of you guys. I can't even imagine that. But last year it was 113. So I've got a lot that I'm going to go through. I'm going to tell you exactly what I do, what I say. I do want to start by saying there's so many ways that we can do everything in this business, and especially the listing appointment. So I'm about to toss a lot at you. Hopefully there are some nuggets in here that you can take and tweak and implement well. And all right, let's dive in. So a few years ago, I did a deep dive in reviews to look and find what makes a raving happy customer, because that's what we all want. And it was easy to see that the common thread was communication and making the process one of ease to our customers. So basically, to do that, we can just limit the unknowns and give them a step-by-step process, because we're just used to this world. But we have to remember that the clients, they don't know what we do, why we do it, or how we get paid, but that's a totally different topic. And while we're on reviews, everybody, we live in a review society, so I would highly recommend getting them. It just builds a baseline of trust and credibility, and trust just accelerates the listing process. This business can be crazy. Like some of the things that come up and happen and we get a phone call and we think we've got to figure out how to make this work. You just can't make up some of the stuff that we all encounter on a day-to-day basis. And we need to remember how those moments feel to our clients. And one way that you can give wow customer service is by, on this list of the things that are behind me, if we just give a step-by-step guidance on these things that to us feel like super easy, super normal, it will wow the customer and have them talking to their friends and their family members. I promise you, it's really not that hard to give the wow level customer service. And then if we've given them step-by-step processes through these moments, they're going to listen to us even more when we come to those crazy moments when they really need our guidance. Because from the client's perspective, if we don't know something, we're probably not like relaxed and ready to take any unusual circumstance that might come at us. And we know real estate is good for that. Top it all off, and you're paying somebody good money to take you through this process, and they might be on edge with us at times if they don't feel at ease. So it makes our job easier if we just communicate every step of the way. Guys, I don't think of myself as a salesperson. I actually never have. I think of myself as a real estate concierge service, there to help the client every step of the way. I've actually never cold called, and I've never knocked on a door unannounced for a listing appointment. Now, we're about to hear from the superhero in that world, but it is not a strength that I have. And so whichever way that you choose to run your business there, I think we both agree that Zig Ziglar said it best, that you can have everything in life you want if we just help other people get what they want. Whether we want to admit it or not, we got into a business where emotions are deep. So if everybody will just kind of imagine with me for a second, I'm going to go through some slides and really kind of imagine, put yourself in your client's shoes and think about what emotions you might be feeling if this was the reason why you were selling. You might have found another home that you love more than the one you're in and you want to move to that, but you've got to get this one sold and you don't want to miss the next one. Your family might be growing, so you need more bedrooms. You might be entering a chapter of empty nest, and so you need to downsize and leave that home that has a whole lot of memories in it. Or you might be going through some financial situations that cause you to need to sell that house, or some major life change. whether you're moving for a job or to be close to a loved one. There are so many reasons that people sell, as we know, but there's a lot of emotions that tie to what's going on behind the scenes that can make their way into the transaction. So another thing that I think of myself as is a filter of emotions. Because as agents, we know that emotions, whether they are good or bad, can create a cloud and difficulty in negotiations to get to the desired outcome that that client hired us for. And we know some emotions come from the buyer and some from the seller and some from other agents. I know they're not us, they're not RE/MAX, but we have to be able to filter through those emotions. Okay, now let's get to the good stuff. What I do in my listing appointment. So I'm a two-step listing appointment agent. By that, I mean I don't walk in with a CMA and I don't walk in with listing appointment. I do this for a few reasons, but mainly my market is not cookie cutter. So I do a better job for the customer if I've already been in their home. And I find it helps me build a professional relationship and trust with the client. But the main one is I have found that the seller is much more receptive to my price point recommendations after I've seen their house. When we go into that appointment, it can be so easy to think about me. Why am I the agent they need? Or how am I going to convince them to pick me? I wonder who else I'm going up against. Or we can be preoccupied thinking, oof, what questions are they going to ask us, while we're in the appointment? Like, what's your commission rate? What do you do for marketing? How are you different than the next person? And don't get me wrong, those are all extremely important, and we need to be prepared and know our answers. But I just don't want them to be your focus when you're going in the door. Because honestly, most of the sellers aren't going to ask us those questions anyway. We just think they are. I'm here to challenge you to make the customer the focus of that appointment. Make them feel like they are the main character in the story, because they really are. We're just there to be the guide to the story, helping them achieve what they want to achieve, which is selling. We're not there to dictate a sell or a price point, but to give them the best guidance, advice, and competitive edge that we can. We need to make the customer know that they're more than a number to us, because until we prove it otherwise, quite a few of them think of us as untrustworthy, commission-hungry, self-focused, and quick sell-driven. Didn't we sign up for a fun hill of objections? Do you not think people think this way? Have you ever heard, no, I don't have to sell, or I'm not desperate, or I'm not going to give it away, and you're not even talking price point yet? That's when a seller is coming from that mindset. So I always interject, hey, Mr. and Miss Seller, it's not my goal to do that either. It's my goal to help you get as much as we can. It's better for you, it's better for the market, and it's honestly better for me. And it's 110% true. So on that initial call with my customer, I like to keep things positive. I like to pull up an aerial map and look to find something that I can give them a genuine compliment about their property, even if I've never been there. I can tell you drive by a pretty pond, or they have a great looking yard, or probably a good view. I like to give that compliment. What do I not talk about on that initial call? Any of the negatives. If they're by a rock quarry that drills 7 hours a day, 7 days a week, or a junkyard that has every car since 1912 on blocks, I don't mention those things. Are they true? Yeah. Can we change them? No. And they're probably going to affect the value? Yes. But when we mention those negative things, which a lot of agents will start out by doing, and I know why we think we need to, but it doesn't do what we hope it does. It shows the seller that we're coming from a mindset of scarcity. And why would they hire us? We want genuine positivity to be what they remember and feel. I also always ask how they found me. I want to know this for a few reasons, but I want to know what marketing worked so I can double down on that and grow your business. And then I want to know who said, hey, call Becky, so that I can personally thank that person and keep that referral train going. But the most important one is you want to know what level of trust you're about to walk into. If they found you from a cold piece of marketing, that's a very different trust level than if a happy past customer told them to give you a call. So this is exactly what I say. I feel like a broken record when I say this, so I'm just sharing it. Hopefully you can take something out of it. But I say, okay, great, let's set our appointment. Now I get a little booked out at times, so I'm going to pull up my calendar while we're chatting. Now I want to make sure my schedule doesn't mess you up. In a perfect world, when would you like to be on the market? And let them answer. And sorry, I can't see the bottom of my slide. My brain just went blank. True world. Let them answer and then say, okay, great. I have appointments on X day. Would you like morning or afternoon? And then set your appointment. And I do this for a few reasons. One, it shows that we're in demand by our schedule. And we've just learned a little nugget about their motivation to sell and what mindset they currently find themselves in. Okay, this is the last part of my conversation with OMIC. So it'll take 15, 20 minutes when I'm on site. I'm going to walk through, take a bunch of notes, and you can ask me any questions you want to about my listing process. No photos are going to happen on this appointment. So the house does not have to be perfect. And then within 48 hours, I'm going to get you my price point recommendations with 3 numbers: an aggressive number, a competitive number, and a top end that if we go over, I'm afraid the phone won't ring. I'm also going to give you the corresponding days on the market for those ranges as well. Can I go ahead and get your best email address? Okay, so let's pause again. We've said a few more things without actually saying them, but we're helping the client to know the expectations so that they feel like they know what's going to happen. Before the photographer comes, seller, there will likely be some prep work. And we're starting to set the stage for the real life expectations of days on the market versus our listing price. But most importantly, I'm there to be the trusted guide, seller. You can be at ease because you have full control. After that call, I send a video email. I love BombBomb, guys. Literally 15 seconds is enough. I thank them for the opportunity to earn their business, confirm the appointment time, smile, be warm, especially in this day of masks. Let them see you. And then listing appointment day comes around. Now, I'm not fancy. I take in 3 things: a county aerial map showing the approximate property lines, and then my county information sheets. That's going to be what I take my notes on. And I leave with them a branded folder with mainly some reviews in that as well. While I'm in that appointment, I always like to ask 3 questions. I want to know why they're moving, but I like to ask that by, so do you know where you're going? That way it just opens up the conversation. And I also want to know what they're looking for in an agent and what questions they have about the process. Just having these conversations is going to help build that natural trust with the customer. At the end of the appointment, I thank the seller for the opportunity to earn their business. I discuss photography if it has not came up yet. I highly recommend using a professional photographer. It drastically changed my business. And then I do my own videos. I use my iPhone and I build them on iMovie, and I've never had anybody complain. And I hire a drone photographer if the property needs it. And if there's anything specific about your marketing plan, make sure you mention that as well. But I don't sit down and go over that with anybody. 73% of agents are more likely to use of sellers are more likely to use an agent that uses video in their marketing plan. So it's really something that we need to be doing. Now, if I've lost it, come back to me now, because this is a little nugget that the pictures that are there are 2 from appointments that I've actually been on. If the seller was not at home, I might have 3 or 4 things written on those. But when the seller's there and they're telling us all that stuff that we don't actually need to know, write it down. It's building trust and building that relationship, and they're going to know that you're listening to them, which is really what we need. At CMA time, know your market like the back of your hand. I only spend 10 or 15 minutes on a market analysis. I use 5 to 8 comps, mainly closed, a couple pending, and maybe an active or 2. And I like to send this CMA over to my customer with another video email. And then I even tell you what it is that I say there. And you can get all these slides. So by the way, if any of you want them, these are all available. A bonus time saver in my business, I love templates, like email templates. So all I have to do is quickly upload my PDF, put in my BombBomb video, and edit my price points. And I highly recommend giving those 3 price ranges because 1, it's going to now start setting the stage for the length of our listing agreement based on the price point that they pick. Our markets will get back to a little more normal at some point when there actually will be length. And also it helps the seller take ownership in the decision. And 80% are going to pick the mid-range or lower. But again, it assures them that we're just the guide, but they have full control. follow-up options. If I feel like it's needed, I'll shoot a text or I'll slide dial the seller. I normally don't want to talk to them until they've had a chance to review the report and my numbers. And if I've not heard by the next day, I will definitely call them, not slide dial. Slide dial sends you straight to their voicemail. If anybody doesn't know what that is, I love that tool as well. Hey, you're to the time where you're going to get a yes or a no. I truly hope you all get yeses because you're RE/MAX and you're awesome. You have done your homework and you have built genuine trust with the customer. But what if I could tell you could hire somebody for free, tell you what you might could tweak and improve on, and in turn grow your business faster? It's not necessarily easy or fun, but if you do get the dreaded, no, we went with someone else, I recommend saying, okay, I thank you so much for the opportunity. If you have just a minute, can you tell me what I could have done differently to earn your business? And then just listen. Put on an imaginary shield that you know you're not going to take this personally, and just listen. You're getting free business advice specific for you and specific for your market. Don't react and don't make excuses or say, oh, I would have done that too if you'd have just asked. Just start a list of the whys and you'll know if you ever need to tweak anything in your market. But I hope you get all the listings and never have to ask. If you liked anything in here, you want to know the templates that I use, how I do my video tours or tips, you are welcome to get those at closingmaker.com. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share today.
Thank you, Beck. Thank you. Thanks. Great job, and I think you did fantastic. You didn't seem nervous at all. You were just great. Several questions came in about the slide presentation. Okay. And so the slide presentation is actually on the app, and it's in there so you can have access to that, as well as their contact information if you want to reach out to one of them in the future. So just out of curiosity, Becky, you said that you asked them why they chose somebody else. I can't imagine why anybody would choose anybody besides you. But what is the number one reason that they told you? And these are friends, so you can.
Sure. Yeah. Now I'm a super thankful girl, and I give God the credit for my business. But it's been a few years since I've not got one. And I've not changed anything about my listing appointment process in the last 7 years. I've not changed it. But before that, I would have people say that they just had a connection with somebody else more. And that's when I tweaked it and changed it and started making it more about the customer, making them the focus. Because I was worried that I just needed to go in and they just want to know a price. I don't tell people a price on the day one. Even if they ask me, I say, hey guys, I don't want to tell you wrong. I really like your house. So yeah, I think just building that relationship.
Awesome. Well, thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, cue. Let's do it.
Thank you. So guys, unlike Becky, I don't have slides to show you guys. I don't have a listing presentation. And yet and still I go on listing appointments and I've only lost to another agent once. Yes. I'm here today to kind of tell you guys my approach and how I go about getting listings and going on these appointments with confidence. And it's not about what I can show them on paper. It's about that little 15 minutes that I have with them while I'm in their home, what type of relationship I can build with them. How much information can I gather about this seller and then also spit it back out to them without taking a distraction of writing anything down and interrupting them. So when I show up to a house, the first thing I ask that seller to do is to walk me through their property. All right? They'll walk me through the house, and it's very important for me as soon as I step on their property to include myself, but not to forget to include them. So for example, we're walking through the house, and I notice they have photos all over the house of their lovely family. Don't we all see that on listing appointments? And the first thing we tell them, hey, you guys have to take that down. Not me. You know what I tell them? We have to take it down. Hey, I think it's best if we take these photos here down. So I included myself from the first time I ever stepped on the property. Never, not once, did I put it all on them. All right? So the second thing, we get through, they walk me entirely through the property. They point out everything they think is good, bad, ugly, pretty. And I listen. And I ask them, Do you mind if I walk you through the property as if I owned it? And now I have an opportunity now to let them know what I think about the property, but also they start to build trust with me because I point out things to them that they probably didn't even see in their own home because I'm paying attention as I'm walking through the first time. It's attention to detail. It's being able to go in a situation and come out of it teaching that seller something about their house. You see, it's two ways to look at listing appointments. Either you're interviewing for the job or you're starting the job from day one, the first day you go. The folks who go in thinking I'm interviewing for the job, they prep. They spend a whole lot of time looking at stuff that at the end of the day will not lose or win them the listing. All right? The folks who go in thinking today is the first day on the job, they're able to joke and be themselves because they're already hired in their mind. They don't have to put on a show. See the difference when you start thinking that way? Just think of the first job you ever had. During the interview process, did you take a booklet about yourself? Or did you go in dressed nice and wishing and hoping they like you? But the first day you started, you still dressed nice. The only difference is you knew for a fact they like you because at the end of it, 6 months ago, whenever you did your interview, you got the job. So it's all about how you look at. All right, so in the appointment, I try to hit 3 key points. I try to hear yes 3 times. And every time that I hear yes, I want to include myself. For example, before I leave, I ask the seller, hey seller, can you see me selling this house? And they're gonna say yes, because they don't want to say no in front of you. They might get back to the room later and they might tell you, oh, this guy can't sell this house, but they're gonna tell you yes, right there in front of you, all right? And then at that point in time, I wanna look at that seller and I wanna say, okay, hey, I can have my photographer here Thursday at 9 o'clock. Does that work for you? See, I've been talking now for 5 minutes and still I've yet to talk about price, commission, myself at all. So let me back up and start over again. If a seller calls me or if I call a seller, because that's normally how it goes, I cold call and door knock. I create the listing appointment. I don't compete with other agents. I haven't lost to other agents. You know why? Because most of the time I walk into a door, I'm the only agent that knows about that property. And that's because I'm on the backside of it, door knocking, cold calling. I'm in Kroger, talking to folks, helping them with their groceries. And I'm getting those leads that no one else wants. We don't want to work for it, but we want the listing. We want the presentation. You go out and find your presentation. And you knock on the door and get that opportunity. All right? So about myself, when it's opportunity for me, hey, why should we allow you to sell our house? Well, I've never not sold a house, Mr. Seller. Every listing I've had has sold. What other qualification are you guys wanting? Oh, well, what is your fee? What is my fee? Well, let's break down the numbers the next time we talk, but you can afford it for sure. You know? So we have to start controlling that conversation, and it takes us away from, oh, well, Billy Bob said they'll take 5%. Billy Bob sold 3 houses last year. You want Billy Bob to sell it for 5%? You want to lose 5% because he's going to sell it for less than what it's worth? Those are the conversations that we're having on listing appointments and we're having here as agents. But I want to challenge you guys to now start to build that relationship as soon as you walk through the door, and to stop leveling and lowering your worth the second you go in because someone else does it. All right? Can we agree on that? There we go. All right, so how many folks came here today thinking that they will walk out of here with 15 slides from Cuba Dead of what he put in his listening presentation? Raise your hand, I want to see it. I don't see any hands because most folks, they know me. I'm a fly-by-night, old school type of guy in a young body. I do it the old way. I'm gonna talk to you and you're gonna like me. And I have confidence to say it. And that's what you guys have to do. You have to have that confidence to say, when I walk through the door, all I need is my pretty smile and an opportunity to say hi to that seller. And I'm gonna walk out of there with that listing. So today, starting today, I want you guys to start elevating in your mind yourself and how much you're worth to that seller versus how much that seller is worth to you. Because it's a pleasure to have you guys to walk through the door. You're a RE/MAX agent. By God, you're a RE/MAX agent, you know? So that is something alone to be proud of. Can we agree? Okay, so now we have the listing. And they call me back and they're ready to take photos. Now they want to look at the numbers. In Mississippi, it's really against the law to provide them with comps and let them look at it because we're a non-disclosure state. So, but we can pinpoint on maps where the homes have sold. I asked the seller, hey, what do you think your house is worth? Well, we all know what they're gonna say. It's worth the moon. House worth 200 grand, they think it's worth 400. And it's our job though to put them into place and tell them, hey, I don't think I can sell that house for that. I think I took on the wrong job. And they'll say, hey, what do you think it's worth? Well, based on the numbers, what I've come up with is you guys walking away with, and I ask them on the front end, what do you owe? That's the last conversation I always ask. And I go home, and then when I come back, I say, well, what I've calculated is you guys walking away with X amount. Okay, can you tell me what's included? Are you guys fine with X? Most of them say yes, because they see a huge, large number. They don't know what's in it yet. All right, but then I go to tell them the price that we're gonna ask for the property. I get them to agree to it. But then this when we get to the commission part, and I show them this is what you're having to pay commission, and they never even say anything about it because they were okay with the bottom line number. They've already agreed. They've said yes to the bottom line. So now you don't have to worry about negotiating commission with sellers. You can focus on getting your pictures taken and moving forward with the property online. All right. So a listing presentation, if I had to say myself, isn't needed. It's more so of their relationship key. If you're able to build relationships and stay positive and smile and be trustworthy with that client, they're going to give you the business every single time. I don't care how many slides you walk in with. If you walk in one and I walk in it, you're not having it. And that's the conversation you have to have with yourself. You have to have that kind of confidence going in. We go in and we don't even know if we have the job. But I go in, I start working day one. I want to see everything about the property and I want to teach the seller something. So something that you guys can take from today is when you go in a house, try to find something that seller don't even know about their house and teach them. All right, be patient with that seller. Be patient with yourself and don't negotiate on your fees.
Thank you. Thank you. So I think you'll agree, when we were putting this presentation together, I said, this is the perfect duo because they're coming at it completely different angles. And so they provided you with so much information, and the app is blowing up with questions. So you got to give me patience. I'm not very good at reading out loud anyway. First of all, I apologize for some of the questions in here about the slides not being on the app. Can we get the last slide? Is the last slide got your contact information on it? So the last slide will have their contact information, and you can reach out. Can they reach out to you directly, Becky? I think
They sure can. Now I've got it. If they,
Other one.
Yep, there's my tech skills.
There you
So
go.
on that, they can get all of my sites. Oh, touch my mic. If that's what they're wanting. And then I know there's one that has both of our contact info on here. So closingmaker.com. There we go. Does that have contact though?
So this is a question for both of you, actually. It's in regards to the photographer. You both talked about having a photographer and not doing it yourself with your iPhone or whatever. Who pays for the photographer? And do you have somebody that you pay, like that's your photographer, or is it an office photographer? How does that work?
You want to go first?
Go first.
Okay. So I pay a photographer $100 to do interior shoots. She will get me between 40 and 60 photos for that. I pay her a bonus 100 if it closes. So if it doesn't close, then it's just the 100. If it closes, she gets 2. So I worked that out with a photographer. I use a drone photographer if the property needs it. So if like it's impossible, it's on the side of, I live in mountains, so like you have to use drone a good bit, or to get great views. That gentleman, I pay $100 as well. I normally only get like 10 to 14 photos, but that's plenty. And then, yeah, your turn.
So for me, I pay for the photographer, but essentially the seller pays for it because they pay me the commission on the back end. I never want to have that seller to come out of pocket any money on the front end for anything. I mean, literally, if I have to cover it, I'd rather me secure that seller and knowing that, hey, we handle everything that needs to be done to get your house sold. But regardless of what we spend, you reimburse us and you pay us the fee. That is totally fine however we do it. But as far as photographer, my office actually has a photographer lady that most of us use. Sometimes I have to go out and use someone else if I want a drone shot or something of that nature. But I pay $125 for my photos and for it to be keyed in the MLS for me from my appointment.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, so this is a controversial one here. Have you either of you ever cut your commission in order to get a listing?
Want to go first?
Okay. All right, in my entire 16-year career, yes, but it was before I knew what I was worth. And I don't mean that in a cocky way, but it's just, guys, this business is not, but it's not easy. We're 24/7 on call. So as long as you're giving that level of service, now I will do, my market is 6 to 7% on average. We know nothing is set. So I will pick a price point and I will tell them if it's below 250, I will do 7. If it's above 250, I'll do 6. But I have pretty much stayed at that for years now.
So for me, it's case by case, but it's not a thing that I'm willing to do for. If I go on an appointment with a seller, I want whatever fee it is that I put on the paper. It's because I show them the value first before I ever show them a fee. So if they're okay with the number that I show them, and I start going through the number and say, well, this is how much you're paying agents and commission, they're less likely to be like, oh, whoa, no, now that number you showed me doesn't really make sense. So that's why it's important to kind of show on the front end what they're making. But as far as for builders, mostly everyone is doing 5% for builders. That's no different. For me, as far as for sale by owners, I cut my commission for sale by owners. But here's the thing. I work out with for sale by owners where I'm getting 4.5% versus 3%. So I cut it from whatever I get standard to 4 to 4.5%. And I tell them, hey, I'm doing everything for you anyways. You know, I'm doing all the paperwork. I have the client. And most of them, see, I don't call for sale by owners really until I have a buyer and their house is set on the market for at least 30 days. So normally when I call them, they're ready to list it for 6%. But since I already have a buyer and I know their situation and what they're going through, I say, hey, I can do this here for 4.5%. I got a buyer already. You don't have to sign anything with me. Let's kind of go like that. So when it's talking about cutting commission with builders, yes, I will. For sale by owners, yes, I will. And we have clients, you know, that buy hundreds of houses into our market where sometimes we have to do 2.5%. On our buy side, they kind of make the numbers work, but that's about it. So
Awesome.
Can I add one thing?
Absolutely.
So I don't cut on the front end, but I will say, and some of y'all would probably want to slap me for this, but probably on about 60 to 70% of deals, I will pay for something through the negotiation, even if it's just $150 little pest inspection, or if they need new deck supports for $200. Any moment where you can tell that the stress level is getting pretty high for the seller if they're getting dinged multiple times. So I don't cut it on the front end, but I'm definitely will use some of it to get that thing to the closing table.
Yep. And a key line to use if they're asking you to cut, just tell them, hey, you know, if I'm willing to take a pay cut on my money, do you actually think I can negotiate for yours? If I'm willing to take less in my pocket, I'm willing for you to take less in yours. So if you want an agent who's going to be professional and who's going to go after everything that your house is worth, please pay me what I'm asking. And 9 times out of 10, I'll be like, hey, I get it.
Well, in the society, everybody's money driven.
Right.
what if during your process of walking around the house and doing the tours and everything, they won't let the how much are you going to charge me go? I mean, both of you talked about when was the appropriate time to talk about the commission. When, but they just won't let it go. How do you handle that? How do you say, hey?
So for me, I'm brutally honest. If there's a situation that's happening that I feel like, okay, maybe it shouldn't be happening, I tell them, hey, now's not the time to discuss commission. There's going to come a time where we can sit down and talk about it. But if you want a speed rush and jump right to it, let me go to my office, come back, and bring back the proper paperwork. And you think about what you think you want to pay. And when I get back, we can discuss it. And that's just me thinking on the fly, because I've never had a seller kind of pressure me and just telling them how much the commission was going to be. So you have to always be able to come up with things on the fly, just like I did with the question you asked. But it's just more so having an answer on the front end of being honest. If you don't want to discuss commission, tell them that. If you want to discuss it with them. But my approach is, I want to see the house. I want to set that appointment to come back, and then we can discuss numbers.
Awesome.
If they ask me in the appointment what the commission is, I will go ahead and tell them my ranges and how I found those range. Like I do the 6% for the higher price point and the 7% for the lower. I just did MLS market research in my own market to find out what those averages are, and just to make sure that I'm not cutting myself any less than what the average would be. So I will go ahead and tell that number. And then I always follow it up with, and I pay for the photography and all that. So I add a little bit of something to it to let them remember the value.
Awesome. So Becky, in your presentation, you talked about the first visit and and then the follow-up. What is the second, the follow-up? How are all the ways you follow up?
That's a great question. So like the follow-up visit, basically after I do everything that I said in my slides, it's pretty much that they're then getting back to me and telling me what price point they pick. I love DocuSign, so then I do all my paperwork via DocuSign. So I don't actually go back out to the house. The next time I'm in the house is when I'm measuring it. Sometimes that's the same time with my photographer, sometimes it's different. So my second visit is actually the measuring, and if I've got the pictures, putting the sign in the yard.
Oh, that's cool. That's a great idea. So we have somebody that missed the yeses. The 3 yeses that you're talking about that they missed them, and I'd like for you to mention the 3 yeses again. I know you're a shy guy, so if you so that's the first question.
No, so I want to hear them say that they can see me selling the house. So I ask them, hey, can you guys see me selling this house? It's going to be a yes. I want to say, hey, we have to take down photos in the house, and when I'm include myself, if I can see them nodding, or if they're like, oh, no, you're not coming back. And I tell them, hey, I'm willing to come back and help you guys do everything that needs to be done, if that's okay with you. But in the meantime, this is what we need to do until our next meeting. So hearing them say, yes, that's fine. They're hearing what I have to say, but also just agreeing to our next meeting, to the next time that we're going to meet, and the time that I said, hey, my photographer can be here at 8 o'clock on Thursday. Does that work for you? And they're going to say yes or no at that time. So hearing those 3 yeses kind of certifies me that I have the listing.
Awesome. So I'm going to mix a couple of questions here because they're kind of similar. Let's talk about social media and what do you put out there that would indicate that you're the best agent? And do you see any results from that, or is it all your results coming strictly from what you all talked about today?
I would say that most of my 80% of my business is referral business. So just taking really good care of the customers that we have and wowing them with that, just giving them the step-by-step processes, because people really don't know what we do and why. Because we might go through this all the time, but they go through it 2 or 3 times in their lifetime. And then they're going to tell their friends anytime that they hear, like, oh, I'm thinking about selling. Oh, you need to call Q. You need to call Becky. Like, it's really word of mouth. I do not, you might have saw in one of my slides, I spend 2 to 3% of my GCI on advertising. Like, I don't, and I've always been that way. put a rolling billboard on the back of your car. I know some people think they look cheesy, but I finally took mine off when I'm like, I can't handle any more business right now. But just those view throughs on the back of your car, so many people will notice that, and your business will just start growing.
Yeah, for me, for all you who follow me on social media, you can contest to it. I'll post anything, literally. I post a photo with my shirt off when it was 9 degrees outside in the snow. People was calling from that. See what I'm saying? So it's all about.
What were they calling about though, Q? I mean,
man, they was asking all kind of weird stuff.
What are you selling at that point?
At that point, nothing. They're asking what I'm doing out there in the cold, but the thing is, they're calling.
Talking.
You see what I'm saying? So my objective is when I'm posting on my social media is to get the attention, get people to call. With me, what I'm posting to show that I'm the best, everything that anyone ever posts about me or say, I either share it or I repost it to let them know. So it comes out, hey, Q's #1 agent in Mississippi. Oh, I blew that up. I posted it every other day. You know what I mean? For a whole week, and I asked everybody in my contact, go share it, go share it. So I'm not afraid to ask for the business and to ask for the help. So things that I post are just literally anything that you can post to keep folks engaged, do it. When your family and friends or clients post something on social media, comment on it, laugh at it, even if it's not funny. Just so now, when you post something, it shows up on the timeline. So it's an engagement thing. The more posts that you engage in, the more folks that will see your post when you post. So I engage in on everything, literally.
Awesome. Okay, so Q, we're talking about knocking, which is definitely old school. At my house, I don't answer the door unless it's somebody selling me Thin Mint cookies. So a little girl selling cookies, that's the only one I answer. How do you get people to answer the door? And what is the first thing you say to them that keeps them from, oh God, it's a realtor?
Yep. So it's a timing thing, John. I understand folks get off work around 5 o'clock. So I want to go door knock when the sun isn't down, at 8 o'clock around 5:50. Around 5:50 to 7:45 is a great time when folks are at home, they've had dinner. And my thing is, I knock on doors. Some folks come to the door, some of them don't. I worry about the people who actually come to the door. But when they do come, it's very simple. Hey, I'm out just meet some of the homeowners. I'm a local agent here in town. And now they're smiling because I'm smiling and I've stepped back. I'm not all in their space. But now, I'm a local agent in town just coming by to meet some of the homeowners. Here's one of my cards. If I can ever help, you guys just let me know. And I walk off. I'm not high pressure. Hey, your house is worth this. You need to sell. Not at all. It's a numbers thing with me. If I knock on 400 doors, I understand that I can expect, 10% from it of folks to maybe call and ask a question, and of that, maybe another 10% of folks who actually do business. My first 30 days in the business, folks, I talked to over 6,000 people. And our owner of our company, Sammy Knight, he reminded me of that a couple of nights ago. I didn't realize it. But as I go back and think about it, like that's what got me started. I talk to more people than everyone else in my market. And a lot of folks say, well, Q, you don't go on enough listing appointments if you've only lost one. I sell more houses than everybody, so obviously I'm going on enough. You see what I'm saying? So I don't have to go on 500 listing appointments to lose 400 of them. That's not what I'm here for. I want to be efficient. I want to go on appointments that no one else is going on. You see what I'm saying? And only way I can do that if I'm knocking on doors and calling people while they're not expecting me to call. And the perfect time to call, in my eyes, is that 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock hour when folks are just now getting to work, and they've at work now. You know how you get when you get there. They're there for 15, 20 minutes, and all of a sudden they have to pee. Now they're hiding in the restroom. That's when I want to talk to them, because now they have time for me. They'll listen. You know what I mean? And that's just the honest truth. Try to talk to folks when you think they're doing nothing, or when they're home and they're fed and full and they want to talk to you. Don't talk to Johnny. Johnny just got home from driving a truck 18 hours, they had dinner. He don't want to talk to you. I can guarantee you that. But catch Johnny when Johnny has a full belly. He's been home a couple of days and he's had his wife to rub his feet. He'll talk to you all day. So it's one of those things. It's timing of it.
I don't even remember what the question was. Have you ever thought about running for political office?
Man, no.
torn with this next question because of the no shirt thing. But somebody in the audience actually wants to know if you're single.
No, I'm married.
Married.
Married, happily.
So both of them are married. Sorry about that. All right, Becky, let's set up this scenario. And this is actually for both of you, and because you both touched on it a little bit. Homeowners, and I'm included in this, we think we live in $1 million houses. And so when you guys say we're going to list it for, whatever, we're like, oh, that's crap. How do you walk around the house and tell them your house is a big old piece of crap and do it in a polite way to where you still get the listing, but you're listing it at what should be sold at? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So two things that I will say. One, if I see something in the house that needs to change, because I'm all about, I want to keep the customer with positive vibes. Let's say they have a purple bedroom and we know that that's not going to fly well. Any type of correction that you can do, you can say the market shows that. Like, don't let it be me. I'm not going to tell them, but to get them the best results, the market says that. The market's showing if we have neutral colors, or the market shows if you would trim those shrubs, so you can use that to kind of buffer and separate. As far as to get on that realization of the price point, and I mean, I know that's a true thing. My husband has asked, how much do you think we could sell our trains for, babe? And I'm like, I ain't confident. I know that's not going to be what you want to hear. So every seller does think that. But the 3 price point ranges, that when I started doing that about 7 years ago, it really helped a seller to see, like, oh, this is the number that I thought. That number might take 12 to 18 months if I try to go that high. It helps bring them into real life expectations.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And for me, most folks know where their house needs work. And ways you can ask them without offending them, hey, are you guys planning on selling this as is, or you want to kind of put some money into it to fix it up to get more for it? Kind of tell me your plan. What's your ideal? And they will tell you 9 times out of 10, oh, we want to fix it up, but we don't have the money. Well, I have a program that I offer to sellers now, whereas we'll come in and we'll fix your house up. You don't have to worry about it. You pay us back on the back end, and we sell it for top dollar. Or I have clients who will buy it in as-is condition, because at this price here and the condition that is in, it doesn't make sense to try to go and get top dollar on the market unless we put some money into it or we keep it off market and try to sell it to a local investor that I have. So just kind of being honest with them about what you're seeing in the market and what those properties are selling for, and showing them, hey, this is a house right down the street that sold for $224. As you can see, their house is kind of put together. I'm not saying yours isn't, but you can see it in the photos. All right. Compare this house to yours. Which house would you buy today if you was out there? And they're going to say this one. So, okay, so do you feel like you would pay the same for this one as you would yours? Now it brings them back around to as being a buyer and seeing it from a buyer's perspective versus, hey, I'm a seller and I want this for my house. So just being honest with them and having proof to show them, hey, this is what you need to do to get this price, or we need to come off and do a second off term.
Excellent, excellent. So you both mentioned reviews and how important they are. What if you're a new agent? Now you're just like 2.5 years out of the gate. So what if you're a new agent and you're sitting across the table from Mr. or Mrs. Home Seller, and they say to you something along the lines of, well, you're a new agent, why would I go with you? Or the review thing, you don't have any reviews to prove it. How do you address that as being it for a new agent?
Right. So when I first started, my first 3 or 4 months when I didn't have any sales at all, what I would tell that seller is, name one agent that knocked on your door or called you. Just name one. If there's any other agent that have done that, please give them your business. This top agent, he's waiting for you to call him. I approach you because I understand the value that I can bring to you. I'm gonna work hard for you. So now it goes back to sweat equity versus money equity. This person might can spend all this money to get all these leads and spend the money to get the advertising, but I'm willing to actually put my feet on the ground and work for every dime that you're gonna pay me. Can you please give me an opportunity? And now fast forward, I'm 2 years in, and my conversation, they say, how long have you been in the business? 2 years. Well, why should we sell with you when we have an agent who's been in it 15? Well, I tell them, compare the last 12 months. That's how you can make that decision. If they've outsold me in the last 12 months, give it to them. If not, please let me have it today.
Awesome. And you're coaching agents now. So how do you tell them to address that?
So if they're brand new to the market, and like, especially this is easy for us because we are all Remax, you can use those Remax statistics. I mean, really, nobody sells more real estate. So it's very easy to go ahead and just act. Don't be like, well, I don't have reviews, but these are the reviews of my office or my firm or my team. Don't say, well, I don't have my own. Just start talking about the ones you have, whether that's Remax Corporate, the national reviews, or your office. When I had started, I would have people say, well, how many listings do you have? And if I just had 2, and they would say, well, why should I list with you? I honestly said, well, guys, I only have 2. I have more time for you, and I need to sell. This is a commission-based business. I promise you, I'm gonna work harder to get yours sold than somebody that has a whole lot more. So those are 2 things that just, be honest with them and tell them.
Okay, so perfect. So now we're still talking about reviews. When do you ask for that? And do you ask every single one of them, even the ones that may have potentially been a crappy deal, like a rough transaction or something? Do we still ask for a review and then just, or do we ask for all the reviews?
So what I found for me, my best clients are going to leave a review if I ask them or not. They're going to leave it because of the things that I'm doing for them within the transaction, the way I'm going over and beyond for them, and they're going to tell everybody about it. But the best time I feel like to ask is at the closing table. Before they're signing, while they're signing, hey, I'm going to shoot you guys a link real quick. When you finish signing that, just fill it out. It takes you 5 minutes. And just go about it like that. If they fill it out, fine. If not, then you can tell who you've done a great job for if they're not willing to leave a review. So now you can go back and say, okay, what could I have done different to ensure that this seller or this buyer would have left me a review? So it's time for us to kind of look in the mirror and change things.
Yeah, I would say out of the 113 that I sold last year, there was probably 3 I did not send. And you get that vibe. I mean, I'm just being honest. You can't make everybody happy in life. Yeah. And I find like the best time to ask them is at the closing table. And I have found too, like if you ask with the BombBomb video, like say, hey guys, thank you so much for letting me sell your house. Congratulations. If you don't mind, click on this link and leave me a review. It would really help me. Even more people than the national statistic of 70% will leave reviews, but just most of us don't even ask. And I have, I think, 160 something reviews on Zillow. I do not pay Zillow much money at all, like teeny tiny, but the reviews are still up there and it still really works and grows for my business. So, and I rotate out. There are programs you can pay to have the reviews go to all the sites. But I just rotate out. I ask this one for realtor.com. I do a Zillow here. You can do Google reviews. So I just rotate through. And then I will put those occasionally on social media, but not as much as I need to after listening to Q.
Awesome. So this next question I'm going to adapt because the 2 different ways you guys do business. Okay, so for Becky, when you show up at the house for the listing presentation, you mentioned you have the county information and maps and whatnot. Do you bring anything else? Like, I hate to use the word gift, but do you bring any kind of an item of value up with them, or is that considered bribery or something?
Yeah, I don't. I know agents that do that, and I think it's a great idea. I never have. I literally just walk in with those 3 things. And the county info sheet, the county aerial map, you'd be amazed the sellers that are actually kind of wowed by it. Like I've done something magical of like, oh my goodness, you have a survey. I'm like, well, it's really just Google Maps. And it also can save us from, let me show you the property lines. Oh, I got them right here. And so we're not hiking 2 acres.
Yeah, exactly. And for you, it's different because you're obviously not carrying things from house to house. But to that, what do you have in your hands, in your possession? And this has nothing to do with the shirtless comment. What are you wearing at the time as you're going house to house? Are you wearing a suit? Are you dressed like this? Because I think it makes a difference, wouldn't it?
Well, for me, I'm dressed like this every day. I never wear a suit, tie. I'm just not that type of guy. I have a couple suits, but I don't wear them because it looks too salesman-like, for me.
Yeah.
And that's what I've heard. So I kind of go dressed like I am. But something that I've done lately, all of 2021, is I roll up in my moving truck. I got a moving truck.
Oh,
Man.
really?
And I park it right there in the middle of the door. And it's times where if I get out the car and I feel like it's just a little back too far back, I'll turn around and go back and pull it up a little bit. So when they first open that door, they see value.
Yeah. So what's the moving truck look like?
You ever seen a moving truck?
No. Your moving truck.
Oh, man.
Does it have your mug on it, or
No,
does it have the balloon on
Can
it?
they see this lovely picture here on the front? I don't think they can see this.
What the,
Oh, there they go. It's a photo like that with me in front of a sign, and it says, "Buy or sell with me, use this truck for free." I leave it parked in the Kroger. I leave it parked in places now that I actually go and work. So like the Kroger, the Walmart, the CVS, I take it to new construction sites and leave it parked and have folks just come pick me up. And some of the best things to do is go to those new construction sites throughout the day. It's so much business there because folks always ride through the subdivisions looking at these new houses without agents. So I go and I hang out at those spots some days for 2 or 3 hours. And you'll be surprised how many folks just actually ride through there looking at new construction houses. Some of them can't buy nothing now. They can't buy gum. But at least you'll have an opportunity to talk to them.
That's awesome. I'm getting ready to move, so I know what a moving truck looks like. I don't think that I've ever been caught that off guard. You're like, you don't know what a moving truck looks like? All right. You know what? I hate to say it, but we're out of time, and this has been amazing. I think you've delivered a lot of value, and nothing against Adam. Nothing against Adam, but I think that this might be the most valuable session that you've been to at R4. And if you happen to see them around, they put a lot of time into this, and it doesn't look like we did, but I did. But yeah, they did. And just thank them, and even buy them a drink if you have the time. So, ladies and gentlemen, Becky and Q.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
All right, I like Q. That's a funny dude.
That was impressive.
Good
feel like
evening.
I
It doesn't sound like I'm on.
Cool.
Are we on?
But yeah, that was pretty impressive. I mean, 2 totally different approaches for a listing presentation, which shows you, I mean, just fit your listing presentation to your style of business. There's no one certain way. The way that Catherine would do it may be completely different from the way Logan or Messi would do it. So if you guys need help with a listing presentation, I actually have kind of a Remax one that I could help you with and kind of make it your own. So let me know if you want that.
That was great, Paul. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you, guys. I'll get this posted later to Facebook. Then we can go back and watch it again.
No, I really like how they had different styles that suit their personalities.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the beauty about, especially with this business with Remax. You have the freedom and creativity to run your business however you want.
Yeah, I feel like I need to go knocking on like 2,000 doors now.
I mean, to have hit, Hall of Fame within 3 years. I mean, that's something. But I mean, the guy's likable. He's an awesome guy that just, I keep saying it. Awesome people can turn into just amazing real estate agents. So, and there's an example.
Yeah, that was motivational. It was cool.
All right, I have to go shoot Matterport. I will see you guys later.
Great. Thank you so much, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you guys.